Okay, good evening, everyone. This is Sachin Karnik here. Today is the 28th of May, 2025. We are continuing our series on the foundations of Angel Wing Technical Workshop. Please do remember that this is based on the Foundations of Angel Wing Volume 1 book. If you would like a PDF of this volume for free, there's no charge for that. Just let me know and I'll send that to you. The book is 816 pages long, the physical book actually. And we are going through pieces of this book step by step. These discussions, these presentations are technical. So they are at minimum master's level or above that, doctoral or even postdoctoral level. But I'll try to keep it straightforward and keep it relatable and understandable. We're looking at the multidimensional perspective of individual identity. We've been looking at this for the last several weeks. And today we're going to probe that further with regards to the concept of cognitive dissonance. This is a very common term that is used in the field of psychology and clinical psychology and all therapeutic modalities. Cognitive dissonance essentially means it's the discomfort from holding contradictory or conflicting thoughts. As I stated before in other formats, the conflict within the thoughts, emotions, memory, desire, and energy, the TEMDE. All of our core members are familiar with this concept. If you are new, you'll catch it up eventually. Not to worry. The internal conflict is essentially with thoughts and emotions, feelings. We have internal conflicts. And that's what causes dissonance. So this word dissonance is different from the word resonance. All right, so this should be very clear. Resonance is what we're looking for. We want resonance internally and externally. But cognitive dissonance it's a theoretical idea which has been validated quite well. This was coined by Leon Festinger in 1957. People seek to reduce this dissonance for mental comfort. We all want mental comfort. Nobody wants cognitive dissonance. We don't want cognitive dissonance, emotional dissonance, issues with memory. We don't want all that thing. We don't want discomfort due to internal conflicting ideas. And there's many examples of that. We may, for example, like something about an individual, but we don't like something else about an individual. That causes dissonance. So this full integration is what we're really looking for. But we want to understand this concept carefully. Resolving dissonance requires either changing beliefs or behavior. So we started, I think, talking about this a bit last time. And I just want to go into it a bit further here. I want to make sure that the concept is very clear. It's again, a construct. And by the way, if you're new to this, I would strongly recommend listening to the whole series from beginning. This is the 20th online presentation on the Foundations workshop. So I would recommend listening to all of these from beginning. If you've attended these, listen to it again anyway, because there's a lot of interesting stuff and you can make notes and then make comments and things like that. So anyway, this is a construct. Cognitive dissonance is a construct. Construct means it's a constructed idea in the mind of the researcher. In this case, Leon Festinger, who developed this idea. So cognitive dissonance refers to mental discomfort holding contradictory beliefs and values. The discomfort serves as a psychological signal for something that is misaligned internally. There's a lack of alignment internally, right? So there's alignment versus misalignment. And when we are not aligned, we don't feel very good. We feel that something is off. We feel that there is, the energies are not flowing properly. Our mind is not working in the best possible way. We can detect, we know what is misalignment experientially. Misalignment is detected just based on our physiology of the body, based on the mind-brain-body connection, in so many ways. Right? So this is a core idea in social psychology, and dissonance acts as a motivational force for promoting change. Nobody wants to be in that state of dissonance. Who wants that actually? Right? So this can happen in the moral, emotional, relational, behavioral realm. It can happen in many different realms. Right? So, to recognize that the dissonance can lead to profound personal growth. Why is that? Let's explain that a little bit here. Profound personal growth means that the internal development an individual is looking for towards the discovery of the self, which is what the self-mastery construct is all about. Self-mastery construct, it is where one is completely a master of thoughts, emotions, memories, desires, and energy in terms of the discovery of who we really are. What am I really, as opposed to this vortex that is just going on and on and on and on. That is a big difference. So technically when we are talking about dissonance, we are talking about a lack of resonance internally and externally in the 12 dimensions of our life, where that dissonance is fragmenting and tearing apart internal energies. And as a result of that, the experience that is obtained in life, that is also very, very split. From the philosophy of mind point of view, what we consider to be qualia, Q-U-A-L-I-A, that changes. The experience changes. Now let's look at some examples. For example, we have families. As an example, we all have families. Well, what do we want in family relationships? We want the best quality of family relationship. Who doesn't want that? Everybody wants best quality of family relationship, right? But that's not going to happen when there's misalignment, there's internal conflicts, there's all different kinds of value issues, there's different people not cohesively communicating with each other. All of that leads to a lot of trouble, essentially. And so that doesn't lead to real growth from within. And that leads to contradictory values and beliefs. This happens in the family life. As an example, let's look at that as an example. On the one side, we love our families. We love our parents and kids and grandparents and this and that and other family members, whoever is there. But at the same time, there's tension in family life. There's trouble in family life. So now there's a contradiction there. On the one hand, there's love, which is beautiful. But on the other hand, there's also at the same time, there's dislike and there's, difficulties in relationships and communication. All kinds of issues come up time and time again. Because that's the nature of relationships. No relationships are completely harmonious. And as a result of that, there is contradiction internally. That on the one hand, I love my son or my daughter or my husband or my wife or this, there's love, but then at the same time, there is other feelings that why this person is behaving this way, this problem is there, this issue is there. And what it does inside, it creates dissonance with that person and it creates dissonance internally. That's what the second point is on this slide. The second point here is that discrepancy creates psychological unease or stress. Right? So we want to understand this concept. The concept of dissonance is that there is stress, there is unease. And as a result of that unease, we then are pushed. Naturally, our natural innate drive is towards internal harmony. In our last monthly Angel Wing retreat, we spent the entire time talking about sustained inner equilibrium. And I still have to actually load that and give you that, make that available, which I'll be doing this weekend sometime. Nobody wants dissonance. We want inner harmony, external harmony. We want that. How many people actually have that? Very few in the world. But we are trying to change that in the Angel Wing program by saying that we can have internal harmony. Absolutely, we can have it. Now, that's what the Personal Transformation Program is about on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. So I'm not going to go through those concepts here. Here, the purpose on Wednesday evenings when we have this program, this is a technical understanding of each of these ideas. Technically, harmony is a construct. Dissonance is a construct. The concept of stress is a construct. Construct means it's a constructed idea that could potentially refer to an actual psychological or physical reality or external reality, something that actually exists. And that's called construct validity. We talked about that before in the first three or four discussions on this. So again, go back to the beginning to listen to that if you have time. Now, dissonance is very interesting. Dissonance is both a challenge and a growth opportunity. So the concept, the way Leon Festinger developed the concept, is that he eventually was able to try to validate it, and then after him, it has been pretty well validated that this really does exist. And it's a challenge for each person. So I don't want to be in this state of dissonance, not at all. It's an opportunity for growth, and that's the way life goes. There's always going to be some imbalances here and there. Okay, so that's how this goes. Now, let's see. The role of discomfort. What does that do for us? Why is that there? Psychological discomfort signals misalignment within the self. This is how the construct is opened up. The construct of dissonance is opened up by these points. Okay, so it's like that construct has these ideas within it. So, which is when one of those ideas is discomfort, psychological, social, familial. These are the type of discomfort signals misalignment with the self. This should be very clear. Now, misalignment versus alignment, another construct. What is alignment versus misalignment, and how does that relate to discomfort and dissonance? So let's talk about that. Three things: misalignment and alignment. Okay, how do they both relate to discomfort, and how does comfort and discomfort relate to dissonance? And then dissonance relating to resonance. See the link. I know I'm going a little fast here, but this is a technical workshop. You may need to listen to it again and then ask questions about it or make comments about it. But I'm just going to go right through this now until about 7:30 or so, 7:35, and then we'll open it up for discussion. Otherwise, it'll get too complicated. So you'll see this point. The discomfort inside is generated from a cause. There are causes for discomfort. And so researchers try to identify what are the multiple causes for discomfort, and one of the major causes is misalignment. Misalignment within. Now, hypothetically, theoretically, if we are completely aligned within ourselves, at least in theory, 100% during the time we're awake, how beautiful, how fantastic is that? Then the discomfort will not come to us. Because come what may from the outside, we are aligned from the inside. Now, alignment means what? Very simple example. If you have 4 wheels of a car, they have to be aligned. We go for wheel alignment. Very simple example. Just like that, if one of the wheels is imbalanced, you can hear the sound and the car doesn't function. You cannot drive properly. Similarly, the alignment of the TEMDE. If you're taking notes, you can write this down. It all connects together. This is a conceptual synthesis in the Angel Wing program out of years of research to really bring out the alignment that we can be absolutely aligned. If the construct is clear, we can be, humanity can be, people can be, but what is alignment? We're looking at this academically today. So how do you define alignment? What is it that is aligning? Right? So thoughts align with emotions, emotions with memories, memories with thoughts and emotions. They all align with each other. The internal energy, in Sanskrit we say Shakti, that aligns with the thoughts, emotions, memories, and the desires, the wantings, the longings. This is the biggest issue in life. Our desires are not aligned within themselves. Hence, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. Contradictory desires, contradictory emotions. They're one against another. That's what causes the dissonance. You see, so we don't want to be in that state, but that's what the Tuesday evening program is about. Theoretically, we want to understand that alignment is a possibility, and it is an actual reality. It's not simply a theoretical idea. Cognition aligns with emotion. Just for example. Is it so? Yes. our cognitive ability, our thinking capacity can align with our emotion capacity. Take the family example. You have a family member, someone in the family where there's not, the relationship is not very good. There's some issue going on there. So we have to align, you have to deal with that somehow to figure out how to realign and retune the interaction so that the interaction is without conflict and there is clarity from within, so that our own internal emotion and thought is aligned. Now, has research been done on that? Absolutely. Hundreds of thousands of psychology research projects have been done just on that question. Absolutely. Without any doubt. So much research has been done. But how many people are actually in that fantastic state of alignment? Not that many. Not that many. We constantly get misaligned. That is because the dissonance that is happening, the discomfort that is happening due to the cause of the dissonance. Now the research has been done on that also. That is expectation. Expectation that others should behave this way, certain things should happen in life and they don't happen. Or in our own mind or body or whatever, we have certain expectations. It doesn't work out that way. It causes a considerable amount of distress. So now there's a relationship between expectancy and dissonance. And that is etiological in nature, meaning it is causative. Why dissonance is there? Because there's an expectation. So then what? We shouldn't have any expectations in life? Is that what that means? No. We can have expectation, but the clincher, and I don't know how much research is done on this point now, is that you can have expectation, but when expectation is not fulfilled, can there be the same alignment? Can alignment remain without it being deflected when expectation is not fulfilled? If expectation is not fulfilled, we try again to try to get it fulfilled. Try multiple times, it's all right. And then life goes on that way. But the question here is of clear alignment as a possibility. Yes, but then how do you measure it? Psychometrics, sociometrics would try to measure this alignment. How is it possibly measured? Many scales, many interviews, questionnaires, so all those things, survey research, all of that is within that domain to try to capture what is even meant by inner alignment. There's studies done on relationship, intimate relationships, parent-child relationships, identity formation and relationships. There's thousands of different types of academic studies and research projects throughout the world that are constantly being done on these questions in the universities. Right? So the technical aspect of this is that the researchers are trying to grasp what's actually going on with regards to the dissonance. This is one question. The other question is, where does that dissonance come from? That is the etiological question. Etiology means causation. The study of causation is called etiology. And then with the dissonance in place, the fact that you can detect it, what are people trying to do with that? How do counselors, therapists, how do they try to deal with this? You see, so you've got multiple domains of research, clinical intervention, even philosophical reflection. So the experience one has is that experience, just coming from the brain. That's the neurological connection also. The dislike for someone. For example, person A dislikes person B. Well, there's neurology involved in that. There's psychology involved in that. There is brain phenomena, neurological chemistry involved in that. And then the feeling of dislike comes about. You see, so that dislike creates dissonance. It creates an imbalance. All right. Well, if that's the case, then the bigger question is there a state of alignment? Well, okay, let's say that the researchers who are researching these things would say, yes, it's a hypothesis that there is a state of alignment. All right, well, prove it. How are you going to prove that? Let's talk to 100 people who've gone through some type of therapy or counseling or some type of, or maybe our PTP program, personal transformation program. They've gone through it for 2 years, 3 years. Has the dissonance been reduced significantly? And we could do those kinds of tests in the future sometime when we have enough people doing those programs. It's possible. That's how you measure the effectiveness of an intervention, the effectiveness of a program of some sort. Is there actual change in the direction that we're looking for? Now, in angel wing programming, since we don't offer treatment, we are requesting each person to monitor themselves. How much change is happening day to day, week to week, things like that. That's fine. You see, but when a person is attentive that I want to be aligned, and I know what is alignment, then I can be aligned. How can Sachin be aligned until the construct of alignment is absolutely shining bright in my mind? It's not possible. Another word for this from a more religious language, which we cover tomorrow evening, the religious studies program. And we'll be talking about all these ideas in a more religious sense during the Thursday evening programs. But like in the Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita, the word for this kind of alignment is sthita pragna. Sthita means you're absolute steady. Pragna means the intelligence is absolutely, clear and steady. That's alignment. This is say truth is only one. It depends on, you can look at it psychologically, neurologically, philosophically, in any which way, or religious language or scriptural language. It doesn't matter where you find it. You find it actually and live in that thing. Right, so for today, things to keep in mind. We just have another 8 minutes before we open it up for conversation. And please do talk about this. So we have several ideas here. Cognitive dissonance, which I'm going to extend that further in terms of emotional dissonance, memory dissonance, energetic dissonance, all of that, TEMDE. Dissonance and desires is the massive one, right? Dissonance versus resonance is the first idea. The second point is that there is the manifestation of dissonance as discomfort. That we don't feel good about the dissonance. That's a motivator to try to resolve that somehow. And then from there, the causes of dissonance, why it is happening, what can I do about it? How is it actually related in life? And from a research point of view, that the construct has been validated, it does exist, and it is possible for certain individuals to reach a state of full alignment. So to reach that state of full alignment, again, conceptually, as far as the foundation's ideas are concerned, we are moving towards self-mastery. Self-mastery is a state of sustained alignment. Alignment is as it is. It remains continuously without it being deflected or damaged in any which way. Right, so this is the basic idea. There are many other interesting points. Let me just go through some of them very quickly here with you. Okay, so hold on one moment here. Yes. So there is, there's rationalization or belief adjustment. Now, what is this? Belief adjustment is where we need to adjust or change sometimes our beliefs to come into resonance. Many examples are there. Beliefs about other people, beliefs about a situation in life. There's so many ways. So that adjusting our beliefs and perspectives is necessary to resolve the discomfort. Discomfort serves as a guidepost for internal coherence. That I want to be coherent. It's okay. There is coherence actually. That coherence is the goal. That discomfort means there is not coherence. That's absolutely what that means. And as a result of that, the concept of coherence comes about. And that state can be developed through a series of processes that we are taking. So this presentation today links very well with our Tuesday evening workshops. Now, the dissonance can be mild or intense depending on the value importance, how much value we give to a situation in life. On that level, the level of discomfort can vary, and then that can motivate us for change, for resolution, etc. So let's see. Yes. So there's a lot of points like belief, perseverance, and things like that. That's fine. the question about psychological motivator, that when we experience tension, we should be motivated to resolve it. First, detect it. Detect what it is, and then be motivated to resolve it. So the research done on this, on psychological motivation in dissonance, is also quite extensive. That when people have engaged in a firmly active process of resolving the dissonance, the internal tension gets reduced significantly, and then that can be measured in terms of scales, interviews, things like that. So changing behavior, changing beliefs, etc. Self-regulation and moral development is also part of this. Tension can fuel transformation or even defensiveness. It can go either way. We want to be transformative. Constructive dissonance facilitates ethical living. Our ethics and values begin to really develop. So the moral dissonance between values and actions, these are conflicts between values and actions. Yes, like just simple example, someone who smokes, right? They may value that I shouldn't be smoking, this is bad for me, that may hold that value, but the action is contrary to that. It's a moral dissonance, let's say, or it's a health-related dissonance, or some kind of moral dissonance with regards to the way we're using language, or some type of moral interaction. Emotional dissonance, relational dissonance, cognitive dissonance, behavioral dissonance, all of these things are also present there. Habits contradict core principles, right? Reframing beliefs to fit behavior, to reframe beliefs. Reduce importance of the conflict is a coping technique. Sometimes we put so much energy and time into a conflict. What is the point of that? Nothing comes out of it. Seeking affirmation or support. Seeking affirmation or support reduces discomfort. Talk to people about it. It's all right. Fine. Gets a new perspective on that. So there's a lot of ways to go about this. Again, principles like authenticity, which is one of our quantum principles, creativity, authenticity. That's why we have the quantum principles. We have 52 angel wing quantum principles to change all of this type of difficulty from the inside out. And then again, from a research point of view, this can be all researched, the construct of authenticity, how it can be measured, how it is implemented, all that kind of stuff, right? So that can all be done. Hopefully in the future, we'll get some doctoral students to do PhDs on these things. That's what we want. And it'll happen because we have an extraordinary model, and we want people to do their dissertations and master's theses and all kinds of interesting in-depth work on all of these ideas. That what is the relationship between authenticity, cognitive dissonance, and self-mastery? There's a dissertation topic right there. And hopefully if we have some funding available in the future, we can set up some scholarships for students, some stipends and stuff like that. We want to do all that in the future. And these are beautiful subjects for research, for academics and for doctoral and masteral level students. Creativity. How does creativity change the energy flow within and obliterate dissonance? Can it do so? Yes, definitely. Moral and psychological resiliency. That one bounces back irrespective of what may be going on, right? So when dissonance is there, these are ways to come out of it. It has a purpose also. It is a way to evolve further. That is the benefit of cognitive dissonance. Okay. All right, so there's a lot of examples here, and let's look at those very quickly. The smoker example smokers justify behaviors despite health risks, students cheating despite valuing honesty, consumers rationalizing expensive purchases, employees acting against values under pressure, people adjusting beliefs post-decision, right? So all those kinds of simple examples are there. 5 closing points here for today. Cognitive dissonance is an engine of transformation. Discomfort is a tool for self-understanding. So don't make discomfort the enemy. Use it as a tool. It reveals, cognitive dissonance reveals hidden conflicts and unresolved values. Resolution leads to greater psychological coherence. We just are going to have a much better quality life overall. Humanity will have a better quality life overall. That's the human upliftment, the third component of the Angel Wing program. And growth follows when dissonance is consciously addressed, right? So we're consciously addressing what exactly dissonance is. We can talk about it. And that's what it can be done in our PTP program. It can be done in so many of our modalities to have discussions during retreats, during our regular conversations, etc. All right, so with that, that is my presentation. I am on time somehow, amazingly, 7:30. So there we go. Would love to hear from all of you. As I promised, I wouldn't try to present too much information at one time. So this is a half an hour it's twice or three times a month. This presentation is held. The first and third Wednesdays, Dr. Berman's presentation, and the other Wednesdays is this one on Foundations of Angel Wing, and Thursday evening we have our Religious Studies presentation.